Cece Hiles joining us in studio to give you a little ACLJ update because the ACLJ never stops. We are always in court. And this one, I was told about this morning. It's a case that we've had for a while, but there's some updates on it. And it has to do with explicit materials in schools. And of course, that's been a pretty hot topic over the last few years. And I've been curious of sometimes you get these and you're like, okay, well, show me what the material is. Are we talking about, people who have a problem with classic literature because some of the language being used, and you hear a lot about that about Mark Twain and some of those. And then Will, our producer here, executive producer, he's like, okay, I got a sample of it. And I could not read it to you on the air if I even wanted to. It is so outlandishly vulgar, and it's in your kids' schools. We are not talking about, again, classic literature using some words or phrases or some adult content. You are talking about extreme content that is in the materials, and even so much so that the school itself was kind of like, okay, yeah, this shouldn't be here. But when you have a teachers union and you have librarians get involved and people, look, I'm a free speech advocate, and I've been saying that way before it became a fun talking point, I feel like, for conservatives. I'm someone that believes I'm an anti-censorship advocate. I have been most of my life. However, there is a line, and I feel like that line for most people is exposing things to children. That's right. And here we are.
You're a child protection advocate, for sure.
Yeah, we'll still go that way, too. Right. Yeah, exactly. If you're an adult, I don't care. But if you're showing something to your kids, or to not just your kids, right, but other people's kids that you're entrusting people with, this is where it gets out of control.
Yeah, and so I'll just give kind of a background. It's a school board in New York, and the school board actually did the right thing at first. They followed their school board policy, which requires that books be age appropriate and enrich and support the curriculum. So there were books that had obscene depictions of sexually explicit acts that the school board rightfully removed. And then a librarian and some others threatened legal action that the school board could not do that. And so then they put them back in. The school board was scared and they put those books back in. So then it went to the Commissioner of Education, the New York Commissioner of Education. And that's when we got involved. So we filed a complaint with the Commissioner of Education, and that ruling actually upheld the books being back in, saying that the First Amendment actually required the inclusion of sexually explicit books in school libraries, and that is absolutely wrong. So we filed then in New York State Court, and we've had a petition there. And now what's happening today, we actually have Nathan, who's there arguing in that case, that the New York State United Teachers Union has filed a motion to intervene, meaning they want to come in and be part of this case. And we, of course, today are arguing that we are objecting to that motion to intervene because the courts have repeatedly stated that they've rejected the notion that librarians or teachers possess a First Amendment right to expose students to vulgar or obscene content in public school libraries. And in fact, the absolute opposite is true, that school boards maintain authority to remove sexually explicit books from school libraries. And that's what we're arguing, and we're hopeful that we will be successful.
Yeah, and I think that's a real thing the ACLJ is fighting for right now. So I encourage you, as we are in this Life and Liberty drive, to make your donation. All donations are matched because we're able to send our legal team to handle these important issues. And they are important. Again, if you could read this material, you would be shocked. And of course, look, we've all been kids. We've all been in school before. I am sure if the word got out that, hey, this kind of book is in your library, guess what becomes the most popular book in school right now? The one that has explicit content that's not made for kids, or even if it's made for kids, it shouldn't be marketed to kids. And again, borderlining pornography, really, when you're reading it. It's very, very, very intense.
And Cece, we know that the law is on our side. We know that the Supreme Court has unanimously recognized that that school boards have the authority to remove books that are vulgar. This material in these books, they fall under the definition under New York state law of obscenity and indecent material.
Right.
So we know that the law's on our side. There's a really big fight today, and that's why we need people to support the ACLJ, because it's one thing fighting in state court against a school board or a municipality, but now the big guns are coming out. It's the school board, not the school board, it's the teachers' unions. They want to be a part of this. They want to be a party to the lawsuit. They want to get involved. We know the resources they have. We know how aggressive they can be. And they're trying to say, we, the teachers union, need to be a part of this. You don't get to decide this court without our input. We're fighting that today. Our attorney, Nathan, he'll be giving an oral argument virtually this afternoon. So, one, be praying for our attorneys as they face this today, trying to stop the teachers union from being a party of this lawsuit. But if they do, it shows that fight is much harder because the money that it's going to be going up against from the teachers union being able to pour resources in to something like this, it's another reason people need to support the ACLJ, because we know this isn't just happening in New York. It's happening all over the country, and that's why the teachers union wants to be a part of it. Absolutely.
That we find states, and we get contacts from states all over the United States where this is happening, where this is an issue, where it's literally, it is obscene and pornographic books. And, we point out that when they try to argue, well, this is diversity and we have to have diversity, we argue that there are hundreds of other age-appropriate books representing diverse viewpoints that do not contain pornography. And those books can certainly be included in the school library instead of the pornographic ones. And like you pointed out, there is a New York state law on obscenity that it violates. These books absolutely violate that, because these obscenity laws, as they pertain to minors, these books are in violation of that. And again, it is a much broader thing when you have teachers unions coming in. It is their intent to force pornography and obscenity on our students, and we're going to stand in between them and represent the parents' rights to say, I don't want my student to have access to this pornographic information.
That's right. And this is a school library. This isn't a public library. This isn't a bookstore. We're not saying Barnes & Noble shouldn't be able to sell whatever they want to sell. You have the choice to go shop wherever you want to shop. This is a school library where middle schoolers have access to this. This is not appropriate for these children. And when you look at the fight that we have ahead, this is a very important one. This is one where you draw a line in the sand against this teachers union and say, you're not allowed to be a part of this. You're also, when you're fighting for this, not making the best decisions for the children of New York. I mean, the passages that Logan even saw that gave him a couple examples, couldn't even get through some of them, was so shocked at what was in these books that are in the school's library.
It's absurd. If you read it, you would just be like, wow, did this ever make it in? It's not like some subtle reference that's thrown in somewhere that some, parent who's just ultra conservative said, this is ridiculous. Or the opposite, an ultra liberal parent who said, this isn't, inclusive enough. No, it's not that at all. That's why the ACLJ is there, and that's why we got to fight back. We are so excited to announce the ACLJ's brand new app, completely redesigned to provide you with the best tools available to partner with us at the ACLJ. You can watch the daily Seculo program, sign the petitions, customize your ACLJ membership experience, donate with the click of a button, and receive up-to-the-minute critical updates that the mainstream media can't censor. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to your phone's app store, search ACLJ, and click install. It's that simple.